הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom. It's been a difficult week as we watch the news of provocation, destruction, and violence unfold in Israel. Poorly timed and overly harsh evictions in East Jerusalem, coupled with ineffective policing, quickly devolved not only into protests, social upheaval, and acute civil strife, but served as an excuse for Hamas to unleash thousands of rockets on Israel, putting not only Jewish, but Muslim and Christian lives in danger, and obviously resulting in Israel responding with retaliatory force, causing destruction and death in Gaza as well. I was in touch with several Israeli friends, including our past scholar and wonderful tour guide, Ori Feinberg. His response speaks to the complex reality of Israel in the 21st century, celebrating 73 years of statehood today. He wrote, "We will continue to stand strong against those who would try and destroy us from without, and we will succeed, for we always do. But we'll have to work very hard to mend our brokenness from within." As we welcome Shabbat, let us focus on that brokenness and acknowledge it. Let us do our best to listen carefully and with compassion to all perspectives. Let us not lose sight of the suffering on all sides. Let us recognize that Israel, while our promised land, is also a young modern nation with deep societal issues, inequalities, and governmental challenges, yet a nation where many are committed to continued evolution, and a nation that does have the right to exist. I wrote the following prayer in 2002. It saddens me that it is still so relevant today. El Harachamim, source of mercy, in the face of so much pain, destruction, fear, and uncertainty, help us. Help our brothers and sisters in Israel to not give up hope. At a time when every newscast, every headline, and every email makes us cringe, our blood boil, and our eyes well up with tears, grant us all the strength to endure. Open the ears of those who wreak havoc to the sounds of destruction they create. Open their eyes to the prospect of negotiation and reconciliation. Open their minds and enable them to understand that we are all God's creatures, Israeli and Palestinian alike. Cause them to value the gift of life you have bestowed upon them so that they might cherish the lives of those around them as well. Akadosh Baruch Hu, O Holy One, a blessing. May the time not be too distant when our homeland is one of prosperity, security, and peace. Hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Open our eyes, our hearts, and our minds, O God, and bless your people Israel, all humankind. Amen. Offering these prayers for hope and renewal, we also welcome in light to send us on our way. And so we begin our service on page 3 in our Sidurim, as I invite up our bar mitzvah, Evan Bajorn Flaum, along with his mother Allison and his brother Mickey, to kindle our Sabbath lights. If you're with us on live stream, we want to remind you that your Siddur and our order of service are on buttons right below your screen, and feel free and open to join us in all of our worship.
As by light, all, so may we, by our lives, give light all. As their brightness reminds us, the generations will have light, so may we stay hungry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadli hikner hadli hab. Blessed are you. Blessed. Continue with the on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu b'kodesho be'ahavat ratzon lanu Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit uyom techila mikra decher litiyah ayim banu v'acharta tanu dashta mikol ha'amim Shabbat kodecha v'ratzon Altanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
We continue now, Tov Lehodot, page 22.
Tov lechodot l'Adonai, tov lechodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lechodot l'Adonai, tov lechodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker, baboker chastecha, ve'emunatcha b'leilot. Lehagid baboker, baboker chastecha, ve'emunatcha
turn back 2 pages to page 20 for Lechado D, we will join together singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach that 9th verse, Bo'vi v'Shalom, we will rise, turn to face the entrance to our sanctuary, beckoning that Sabbath spirit towards us with our voices. And if you are on live stream, we invite you to find that Mikdash Ma'at, that place of worship where you are, that you can feel that Sabbath spirit with us. Join together, page 20.
Shamor v'zachor v'rimor achad hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo achad l'shem u'tiferet b'litila l'achad odi lichad kala b'nei Shabbat Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshavat china l'echad odi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela hitorari kiva orech kumi ori uri shir daberi kavod Adonai alayich nigla lechad odi lichad kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela Bo'vi v'Shalom atarebala gam b'simcha u'v'tola toch emuneh am segula bo'ikala l'echad odi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Turn to those around you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom with some waves, blowing kisses. We continue on page 26 with the Chatzi Kaddish as we remain standing through the Shema.
Shemei Rabbah ve'amad yivrach yirutei ve'yadlich malchutei b'chayechon yom echon u'v'chayenecha beit Yisrael bagada u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitrama v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaler v'yitalal shemei d'chodesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata V'shirata tushbechata v'nachamata damina mi'alma v'yimeru. Amen.
As we turn to page 28 for the Baruchu, it is my pleasure to call upon our bar mitzvah, Evan Bajorn Flom, to lead us in the next section of our worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. We continue on page 30. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chochma Poteach She'arim Uvit Guna Meshanei Itim Umachalif Et Hazmanim Umesader Et HaKochavim Mishmerotehem Ya Kirtono Ore Yom V'Laila Olel Or Mipnei Bechoshech Mipnei Or Uma'avir Yom Umevi Laila Umavdil Bein Yom Uvein Laila Adonai Tzevaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 132. Everlasting love. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol olavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom olevavecha v'shinantam vanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha ufumecha uktartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam amazuzot beitecha uvish'arecha le'aman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihayot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
The Geulah is a prayer of redemption, and it is the words that we say leading up to the words of Micha Mocha, which are in fact what the Israelites sang when they crossed from slavery to freedom, crossing through the Red Sea. But the Micha Mocha, or the Geulah, is also a song of new beginnings and new adventures, leaving an old world behind and starting something totally new. So we thought this would be the perfect place in our service to call up all of our high school seniors who are here onto the bima with hopefully a blessing sheet in hand to receive a special blessing from myself and Rabbi Jurgen. Kinter Berlin wishes she could be here, but in fact, her child is graduating not from high school, but from college. And so she is with her daughter and her family to celebrate that milestone as well. We'll have you all come up. Hopefully, parents, you also have your eyes on one of our special blessings. What? Yes, we're going to open the ark, so everyone should rise. We're not handing those out quite yet. So they have to get the blessing before they get the present. You know that. Wait. Got the whole team. You're here representing all those who are not here. They're here in spirit, and each of you has stood on this bima for your bar mitzvah. Many of you for confirmation, and so we offer this prayer for you. May the one who blessed our mothers and fathers before us bring blessing to these wonderful 12th graders, our children, about to graduate and embark on the next phase of their life's sacred journey.
May the words of Torah always be sweet to them. May a sense of Jewish community always be strong in them. May they always have questioning minds and compassionate hearts, treating others with love and kindness, dedicating themselves to repairing the world wherever they go.
Just as you've grown up Jewishly here as part of our temple family, from pre-K to Hebrew school, from bar or bat mitzvah to confirmation, post-con, and many of you to SAFI or BYO, may you always remember as your life unfolds that you come from a family which loves you unconditionally and from a congregation which will always be your home. Parents, join with me. Our hearts are full as we give thanks for the growth of our children, ready now for this next phase in their lives. We pray that you will always be conscious of the beauty and wonder of our world. May God bless you with strength and wisdom, open minds and caring hearts, safety and good judgment. May God empower you to continue to act with kindness and compassion for others, inspiring your peers, your family, and everyone you meet to engage in the task of Tikkun Olam, working in partnership with God for the betterment of our world. And just as we share the priestly benediction with you at your B'nai Mitzvah, with your parents there, hands on your shoulders to offer those blessings, so now do we share the priestly benediction to each of you standing here on your own, but linked to each other and linked to our congregation as you get ready for the next phase of your life. Yivarachecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom.
May God bestow favor upon you and grant you the most precious of blessings, the blessings of love and friendship, happiness and peace. Together we say, Amen.
Mazel and you may all be
With these blessings of going forth, we continue with Mi Chamocha on page 40 as we celebrate redemption.
Amar kifat Adonai Jacob, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
On page 42, we join together in the words of Hashkipinu. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadows of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, vel kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We continue with the Amidah on page 46. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufki yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, הגבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם עזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומן המלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. On the bottom of page 55, we read responsively. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustain us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. At this time, when we say a prayer for peace, I'm going to invite you to take out that prayer for peace for Israel. If you are on live stream, it should be on a button below the live stream video. And if you did not get a copy, there is one on the table. We are going to say this prayer together, a prayer written by Alden Solovey. O you children of Abraham, you sons and daughters of Sarah and Hagar, what will you become? How long before shalom and salam echo in these hills, in these valleys and on these shores, as shouts of awe and amazement? How long before we remember to hold each other dear? One God, maker of all, banish war from our midst, speedily bring forth justice, understanding, and love. Bind these wounds and heal our hearts. On that day, the children of Ishmael and the children of Isaac will dance as one. Joy will rise to heaven, and gladness will fill the earth. Together we say, Amen. At this time of praying for peace, we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing of mind, body, and of spirit. We think of them, whisper their names aloud now. We join together in Misha Berach, which can be found on page 253.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imo hoitenu mekor habracha la'arav hoitenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Amen.
Take a moment now for our own silent prayer.
Oseh shalom, b'hem rama. Oyaseh shalom, oyaseh shalom aleinu, oseh shalom aleinu, oseh shalom, b'hem rama. Oyaseh shalom, oyaseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'achol, 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 Yisrael. Yoshvei Tevel. Ve'yimeru amen, ve'yimeru amen. We ask for peace on earth, and we say amen. Ve'yimeru amen, ve'yimeru amen. We raise our voice as one, and we say, Amen.
In our current climate of racial diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, training on implicit bias, and realization of long-standing racism in our country and others, I am constantly reminded that having a bias is not a bad thing. It is inherent in who we are as human beings. It is the implicit part of implicit bias, when without conscious knowledge, we have certain attitudes toward people or associate stereotypes with them. Bias turns to truly negative behavior when we don't recognize the bias and then act on those stereotypes and the attitudes hold. This week, these feelings have escalated surrounding Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. There are those who feel that Israel is attacking innocent civilians. There are those who feel that Hamas and other terrorist networks are attacking innocent civilians, both in their own communities and those living in Israel. There are those who feel the unrest is a way for political leaders to misdirect focus constituents to avoid losing an election. There are those who feel that Israeli cities like Lod are entering civil war-like states of emergency, where the Arab Israelis and Jewish Israelis are attacking one another. There are those who feel that the images and messages seen on social media are correct information. And at the same time, there are those who feel many of these things all at once. I'm one of those. The situation is complicated. Let's be real, the entire Israeli-Palestinian conflict is complicated. There are thousands of years of unrest, disagreements, and miscommunication. This week is no different in its nuances and difficulties. The timing, fascinating. Elections for the Palestinian Authority put on hold. The potential for entering into a fifth election in 2 years for the Israeli government as a majority coalition is unable to form. Postponement of a hearing in the Supreme Court on the current resident's appeal in the case on Sheikh Jarrah. 100 years ago this month, in May 1921, attacks and counterattacks exploded in Jaffa, resulting in many casualties. And 73 years ago today was when Israel's Declaration of Independence was signed. All of these large moments, all of the facts and figures of how many rockets and how many dead, how many injured, but yet we seem to be missing a component: humanity. This Shabbat, we begin the book of Numbers, Bamidbar. The second verse in the book reads, Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, lemishpachotam levet avotam b'mispar shemot, kol zachar legul galotam. Take a census of the whole Israelite community by the clans of its ancestral houses, listing the names, every male, head by head. While God explains that there needs to be another census done of the Israelites, this one is a little different. It isn't just about counting, but about actually naming the name of each individual. Sforno, a 16th century Italian rabbi and physician, explains that the names of the individuals reflected their specific individuality in recognition of their individual virtues. The Israelites were not merely noted for their family line, but who they were and who they could become: humanity. We are focused on the numbers, the political gains, the money, the negotiations, etc. We are not focused on those who are running to shelters, some with less than 15 seconds to get there before a rocket lands. We are not focused on those whose homes are being stripped from them. We are not focused on those who are injured or die. We are not focused on the family members of those people. In the current tensions, there are multiple factors that put many people at fault, many to blame. At the same time, we need to make sure we are taking responsibility as Jews, as supporters of Israel. Growing up, Israel was on a pedestal. It was the place you wanted to go to, the place we learned about through colorful posters of people floating in the Dead Sea. It was the place where you could be Jewish and free to be the Jew that you wanted to be. For me, much of that imagery came crashing down in 2004 with the disengagement, as I started to learn about both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As the 21 Israeli settlements in the Gaza Strip were dismantled and Jewish settlers were forced to relocate, I was angry. How could the Israeli government force Israelis to leave? Then I learned that it was to allow for Palestinians to have the Gaza Strip and for themselves, and to take out the IDF from within the borders of the Gaza Strip, all in the name of a potential peace agreement. I was confused. How was I supposed to decide which side to take? What was actually going on? This is really when my Israel education came under a different light, a time when I was able to experience the ability to support Israel and critical of it at the same time. This is what I've taken with me since then as I have continued to be confused, to seek answers, and to try to understand how my feelings, political beliefs, and Jewish ideology can work together under the focus of supporting Israel. I also try to highlight the humanity of all of it. This isn't just some faraway place, but these are people who are being impacted by this conflict. As Jews, we have a covenant with God to uphold the values and morals in Torah, the same ones we will read Monday morning for Shavuot. Those 10 commandments, which encapsulate our core values as Jews. Israel, as a Jewish democratic society, is tending to forget some of them. Rabbi Dr. Daniel Hartman, who is president of the Shalom Hartman Institute, author and educator, shared in a blog post yesterday his frustrations as an Israeli citizen. I am angry that Hamas wants me dead and my country dismantled, is able to attack again and again with impunity at the time of their choosing, to inflict pain and suffering and to shape the discourse between Israelis and the Palestinians, and now between Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs. At the same time, he explains that Israel has become so enamored with our power that we have forgotten the rabbinic teaching that the truly powerful, the one who knows to control youth. We can stop Palestinians from sitting on the steps near Damascus Gate. We can enter the Dome of the Rock at will. We have an abundance of stun grenades at our disposal. We can even hide behind legal arguments that allow us to expel dozens of Palestinians from their homes in East Jerusalem and settle Jews there instead. We are, after all, the sovereign. We won the war, and to the victor go the spoils. But what about the rabbinic teaching? Who is wise? He or she who is able to see what has come. To me, this contradiction in these words were so powerful. No one is blameless. No one is exempt from criticism. Everyone is focused on power. We are forgetting the people who are in the middle of all of this, humanity. Now is not the time to focus on power. As Jews, we need to hold ourselves to higher standards, to focus on how to be better people and to think about those who need us. We should be checking what is shared on social media before sharing images, videos, and words that are inciting more violence and falsehood. Material that is from other countries, that misrepresents scenarios, that exploits one side or the other. We should be reading a myriad of media so that we can get a full picture of what the situation is. Better yet, be talking to people on the ground. Understand what they are experiencing. We should be focused on helping people, not on being in a power struggle. These are not easy tasks, and are ones that we must continue to work on each and every day. May this be our will and God's will. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Aleinu on page 183. I invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורר עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. Our memorial meditation can be found on page 289. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living, the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Henry Alterman, Aida Arriaga, Ben Benson, Emil Bluestein, Isaac Bodenheimer, Shirley Brown, Robert Dan, George Delavan Jr., Pauline Frank Deutsch, Jane Stern Drieben, Lillian Dubb, Shirley Fisher, Meyer Frank, Rosalind Roz Garland Gordon Gates, Jose Garcia, Bess Golden, Jose Gonzalez, Meyer Michael Gordon, Rosalind Sandra Gordon, Stanley Hanmer Jr., Irving H. Buddy Harris, Bobby Jackson, Esther Reich Cantor, Francis Kaplan, Nathan Kaufman, Joyce Kaufman, Bruce Koppelman, Michelle Curry, Michael Kurtzman, Arthur Landsman, Linda Faye Levy, Janet Mark, Cecilia Messick, Charles L. Meyer, Jacob Mitchell Meyerson, Nathaniel Montville, Donald Muir, Demetrio Nicoluscu, Dr. Richard Plum, John Popke, Lenore Rubin, Charles O. Sines, Diane Sterling, Mary Ellen Weber, Nathan M. Welsh, Freda Wender, Mon Ku Wu, Shaw Young Wu, Harry Yellen, and Paul P. Zimmerman. To these names, we add those who've died in the past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Arthur Gerwitz, Lisa Starr Rosenstein, and Rabbi Morley T. Feinstein. We also think of one who died this past week, whose family is in a mourning period of Shiva. Remember Sabra Landy, cousin of Dr. Jill and Tabarak Veksler, David Veksler, Jack and Betty Veksler, and Jeff and Catherine Veksler. With all of these people and those which are in our hearts each and every day, we turn to page 294, Kaddish Yatom, and rise together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv, imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach, v'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha b'richu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, Amiran ve'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. It is my honor to call forward Dr. Amy Benedict, President of our Board of Trustees, to deliver tonight's announcement.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I want to apologize for being inappropriately dressed. For synagogue, I was sure when I left the house at 6 o'clock this morning that I would get home in time to change, but it obviously didn't happen. That being said, Evan, to you and your family, congratulations on this milestone of your bar mitzvah. It's a wonderful thing to celebrate, and congratulations to all of you. I want to also congratulate the graduating seniors. Also a very exciting time for you. Shavuot will be celebrated on Sunday and Monday, and for Tuesday, don't forget to sign up to get on our, for our annual meeting, you have to sign up on Zoom. Everything's listed in the weekly email that you get, which comes out on Thursday. We are also so excited to be celebrating confirmation next Saturday night. I'm going to close by sharing with you a Facebook post that my daughter, who lives just outside Tel Aviv, put on her Facebook site. Let me see if I can catch that. Okay. This is from Ilana. 90 seconds. That's all I have to seek shelter from rockets being fired from Gaza into Tel Aviv. 90 seconds. Israelis living in Ashkelon or Gaza border communities have 30 seconds or less. I could have never imagined what it would be like to hear siren after siren and hear loud bangs as rockets are being intercepted over my head. Last night, around 9 p.m., I, along with millions of Israelis, spent 30-plus minutes or even hours in bomb shelters, their stairwells, or anywhere else they could safely take cover from the 1,000-plus rockets that were being fired at me. Waking up at 3 a.m. to blaring sirens and running down the stairs to the bomb shelter was a surreal and out-of-body experience, which has left me shaken and scared. Constantly having a pit in my stomach of not knowing the next time I'll need to get up and run to the bomb shelter is a frightening feeling. What's been more sad and truly upsetting to me is after experiencing this firsthand, waking up and opening news and social media. The hatred toward Israel and Israelis is truly heartbreaking. The rockets are targeting all Israelis, not just Jews. These rockets are being fired at me, my friends and family, and we are fearing for our lives. Everyone here, including myself, wants peace on both sides. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Amy. As Rabbi Yergin said so beautifully in her sermon, it's all about humanity. We need to remember that there are human beings on all sides and that most want. Our closing song in honor of our graduating seniors is Lech Ilach on page 341. Please, please sing with Lech Ilach to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha to a place you do not know. Lech Ilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lech Ilach. Lech Ilach. And I shall make your name great. Lech Lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lech Ilach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, Lech Ilach. And you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lech Ilach. Shabbat Shalom.